It's 8:30. I'll open up the August 15th County Commissioners meeting. First item on the agenda is public comments. Mr. Babson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of things. First, on the minutes, since you'll be in your own meeting when it comes to the minutes, I would like to suggest that since we're very descriptive about the situation and me asking Commissioner Kenny why she didn't attend, I would like my remarks put in here as well as the rest of it, and that was by skipping the meeting, I didn't feel she was doing her job. The second thing I have, I believe this is the third week that Mr. Rich will be looking for answers to or proof to substantiate Commissioner Kenny's charges that he charged the county thousands and thousands of dollars. The first week her proof was downstairs. The second week her proof was downstairs. This is the third week, and this seems to be a problem with this board. Things continue to fester. I would like to suggest that you ask Commissioner Kenny to make 3 copies of her proof, one for you, one for Commissioner Solomon, and one for Mr. Rich. And if we can afford it after all these lawsuits and investigations, maybe 1 copy for the desk for the public to look at, and get this thing over with. Having the papers, either she has the information to substantiate her charges or she doesn't, and let's get these things done and move forward. You're in charge. You can very easily tell her you want to see the proof, and let's see it.
So you want copies of the bills?
Well, I think that we all we're interested in this. You don't have to print one for every one of us, but it would be nice if we had one here. While you're talking, we could be looking at something here, and so we have some idea what's going on. But my main point is, this is dragged out 3 weeks. This week, the commissioner isn't here. Mr. Rish isn't on the agenda. But, you know, she made some pretty serious charges against the gentleman, and I think attacked his credibility and his ethics, and I think that this board has an obligation to get this thing out of the way. And the easiest way to do it is either show the proof or not. If you got it, fine. If you don't, that's another situation.
I think he answered the question in that there was $2,000 that was charged and not several $1,000s.
Yes, he did. But he asked her for the proof that he did of her charges, and she's 2 weeks in a row said they're downstairs. Well, let's get them up here and get it done and get it out of the way.
By the way, I didn't know until Monday morning. We were supposed to have a conference call with an attorney. I didn't know, and nobody else seems to have known, that Commissioner Kenny was going to be on vacation this week. She neglected to tell us. We had certain things that we wanted to, to accomplish this morning. Actually, in hiring a HR person. We may still do that. She was in support of this person anyway. Excuse me. I tried calling her yesterday by phone, her home phone, as well as a cell phone, and asked her if she was on vacation, if she could email us saying that she would approve the hiring of this person that the committee had recommended. And I have not received any word back from her.
Maybe you ought to text her.
Text her, yeah. I don't know how to do that. Yes,
I have
Mr.
some
Rose.
observations that I'd like to share. First of all, I want to tell you that I admire your patience. Secondly, I don't feel that anyone who attends this meeting should conduct themselves in anything other than a courteous, professional manner. And outbursts should not be tolerated. Third thing, in line with where Dave was going, I think that if there is a concern by a commissioner or commissioners on a contractor, that those concerns should be formalized in writing and submitted to you. The board should review those, and if they feel it's justified, then that should go to the contractor in writing and he should have enough time to formalize his response
Okay.
and eliminate the back and forth. Okay.
Thank you. It's all good points. Thank you. Got to give everybody a chance here.
Is the bill for the investigation into the harassment of the nursing home, grievance/harassment in yet?
I have not seen the actual bill. All I've seen is an estimate that was sent to all three commissioners by Liz Bailey, our attorney.
And what is that estimate?
It's $29,800.
29,000.
Yep. We have not, regarding your other comment that I believe you emailed us
Yes.
in regards to the Perry investigation,
Is there a bill
I
for
have
that
had
as well?
a lot of difficulty trying to find somebody to do the investigation. As I told you before, we went to the sheriff's department. He turned us down because he's going to be investigating the incident that took place at the jail. County attorney turned us down because he was going to be prosecuting that case. So they had conflicts of interest. I asked Mr. Perry if we went to the state prison investigating department, if that would be acceptable. He said it would. The state turned me down Monday. They do not do investigations outside of the state prison. So
Makes sense.
I had talked with another commissioner up in Horace County, and she said that she has hired a retired state trooper up there to do some investigations. I called her Monday after I got turned down. She gave me the name. I have called him at his home phone. I called him at his so-called office. It's Tri-State Investigation Service. And I have not had any response from him either. I did communicate to Mr. Perry on Monday that the state did turn me down. I just want to keep him informed as to where the investigation is going. I hate to belabor the point, but I'm having problems trying to find somebody to investigate. Okay?
I see.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Benson.
since Commissioner Kenny came in as in person, do you have today with you the your information to substantiate your charges that Mr. Rich has spent
No.
thousands and thousands of dollars?
Yeah, no, I actually came up from North. I'm not home.
Well, you said this stuff was down in your office. Have you brought it up?
No, I did get yesterday, no, last week, I get a couple things what I have to look into it.
You do what?
I have to look into it. I was asking about the charge, the $53,000 or $43,000 of the new nursing home, the fiber line that he run through. I get it last week.
Oh, I'm not referring to that. You accused him of
Yeah, he did.
doing hookup.
Yeah, he did
Excuse me,
hook
may I
up.
finish, Commissioner? You accused him of charging thousands of dollars in March because he knew that as April 1st, it wasn't going to be in the $300 per unit was not going to be allowed in the contract. He's asked you 2 weeks in a row to substantiate that. Two weeks in a row, you've said the material's downstairs on your desk. Do you have it with you today?
I don't have it with me, but I looked
Thank you.
into it in March, and it is a couple $1,000s.
Commissioner Kenny, since you arrived, I had said that I had heard you were on vacation, and on Monday, I heard that you were on vacation, and you had not told us, and I didn't expect you here today, but I'm glad you are here.
Yes.
So we can do the business. On the other hand, we had scheduled an attorney to come in at 11 o'clock, which we had scheduled 2 weeks ago, which you knew about, all three of us knew about it, that we were going to discuss the investigation that took place regarding a person in the nursing home. And I had to cancel that because I felt strongly that all three of us, in fact, the attorney also felt strongly that all three of us should be here. Now, every time we call an attorney, the dollar value goes up, or the dollar figure goes up as the cost of that attorney. So now it's scheduled for next Monday. Is that a possibility that you would be here next
Yeah,
Monday?
I got your email and I told you I have a conflict, so I better do it after the commissioners meeting next week.
Next Wednesday?
Yeah, and I didn't know, I was not sure if I was going on vacation or not, and I did. And last night I found someone to watch my kids up north because I'm not home. That's why I could make it this morning.
Okay.
After the commissioners meeting?
Okay, I had
There
said...
is next Wednesday a meeting, commissioners meeting or not.
Okay. I had sent an
Yeah.
email out to all three commissioners plus the attorney that I suggested that Monday at 10 o'clock, if everybody could meet then, at that time, we would have a non-public session to discuss that investigation.
We're already
But now
here.
you know, now I hear that you can't make it. That's fine,
No.
we'll set it up for Wednesday. Can you
The
make it Wednesday
22nd.
after the commissioners meeting? What's that?
The 22nd, after the commissioners meeting.
Okay. We'll schedule it for 11 o'clock Wednesday on the 22nd. Okay? All right. Further, yes, Mr. Albee.
One comment on the notion of the Tim Thompson grievance took on a life of its own this week, in that the judiciary was concerned about my wife sitting on a case involving Tim Thompson if he had in fact filed a grievance, which he hasn't, or didn't. And I think it's important to note that people can't just say whatever they want to say regardless of the facts. There are consequences to these sort of statements. And leaving aside for a moment the fact that releasing non-public information to the public is a misdemeanor subject to up to a year in jail, I think it's important that the conversations outside of the commission be limited by what the law determines they should be limited by. And this is just an example of utilizing misinformation to try to make some sort of point, which I'm not certain what it was, but the consequences of that statement have reached far and wide at this point in time, and I think it's important that the commission come forward and categorically refute it, or do something to take it off the table. I know that Deputy Thompson was pretty upset about it. I think you might find that there's going to be some sort of minor investigation into where the information came from. So,
Regarding the statement that was made
right,
that you had a
Grievance
grievance
filed.
against you from
Tim Thompson.
Tim Thompson.
Right.
Well, as I said, I wasn't aware of any grievance that came to the Board of Commissioners regarding
Neither was
you
Tim.
or Tim Thompson.
So where is Tim Thompson from? Who are you talking about?
Tim Thompson is a sheriff deputy, right?
Right.
So there was never a grievance filed, you want to tell me, in 2009 or 10? Is that what you're talking about?
Tim Thompson has never filed a grievance.
Tim Thompson, and he's from where?
He's a member of the sheriff's
Oh,
department.
he works at the sheriff's department. Oh, okay.
People
Was that-
outside
was
of
that-
county employment don't have the ability to file grievances. It doesn't.
Oh, okay. Was there anyone else then that filed a grievance or a complaint?
We had any number of grievances filed against the commission or against department heads,
Yeah.
as have you. I mean, that's part of the business of the county.
And I think I agree with your point that non-public information shouldn't be leaked out, and there is a lot of non-public information leak out. You have, like last week, somebody coming here describing precisely what was in certain sets of minutes. And that is non-stop information here leaking out.
By the way, I have a copy of the non-public minutes of September 21st, 2011. That was one of those items that was requested to be released. Have you had a chance to look at September
think the
14th and September
14
21?
September 14 and September 21. Yeah, I checked it last week. And that was
And
a request.
do you think it
I
should be
have-
released?
Well, first of all, it is non-public. Why would you release non-public?
Well, we do release some non-public.
Yeah,
That's
we
the whole
do,
point.
we do release some.
Yes, and
And I look at the approved and signed non-public.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you need to release. So I'm,
I've got the copy here. I'm going to reread
me
it
see
to
it.
make sure that names are not mentioned, that would cause harm to anyone else. I don't have the September 14th minutes. You have those in a locked file.
I believe I gave you a list last
I
week.
do, and I look at it, I look at 6, and it was okay.
Well, I think the whole point was so that we could look at it and see what we could release. It's time that they're not even okay, they haven't even been okayed by the board.
That is what you are saying, but how is it signed then, if it is not okay?
I'd like to see them, please.
What you have here is a draft. You don't even, this is not even the...
That's what I'm saying.
This, what you have here is a
That's
draft.
what I'm saying.
This is not even approved and
That's what I'm
signed.
saying.
This is a draft makeup. You don't even have the good corrected one.
Exactly. That's exactly my
You cannot
point.
release a draft.
That's exactly my point.
Well, I'll reread it. Okay, it's...
Just a point of order.
Yeah.
You may want to review the time constraints on minutes, because you only have a certain number of days to approve the minutes, a certain
Especially
amount of
non-public.
time to make them non-public and to
Yeah.
seal them. I mean, if you've gone past that, this whole discussion may be moot.
That's right. I agree. She said that it was not approved. I didn't say that. Okay. You have-
Mr. Rich, are you coming for that thing for last week?
Yes.
I don't have anything with me. Is it okay
No,
that
actually,
that I call you when you are coming? So I have all my stuff with me?
Yeah, that's fine. I actually have some information that you requested. That's what I'm here about today.
Oh, okay.
You had requested a copy of an invoice for the infrastructure equipment at the nursing home from last year. I brought that
The
with me for you.
fiber line?
The
About the
whole
fiber line?
Wi-Fi setup
Oh,
and the
okay.
network setup.
Okay.
I have that for you there. That is on file with the business office as well, so you can get additional copies there. I also offered you last week the advertised pricing for the Barracuda backup device from 2 government specialty retail agencies. I didn't have them with me last week, but I do have them for you this week. That's all I have this week.
Yeah.
You have any questions for me,
Thank you.
Commissioner?
No, I have to look into it.
Okay. Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you. All right, we're going to move into our regular session. Do we have minutes from last week ready to be approved?
Actually, I don't have.
We have 2 sets of minutes. The
Boss.
first, August 1st,
I've got August 1st.
and I see, as I checked over, there was only one minor error. Take out a word.
Okay.
Did
You make
it on your sheet? I did, yeah.
You want to make a motion that we
I'll
approve
move to
August 1st?
approve August 1st minutes
And I'll second it.
as corrected.
I'll second it. Any further discussion on the minutes for August 1st? All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
I oppose.
You oppose?
Yeah.
Okay. So voted then.
And August 8th,
I don't have-
I have looked them over, other than making some corrections to the readability. They appear to be good.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve August 8th minutes
I move to approve August 8th minutes as corrected.
as corrected? Do I hear a second? I'll second it. Any further discussion on the minutes for August 8th? Hearing none, all those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
No.
So voted. Do we have any other reports to give since our last meeting?
I do, but let's do it afterwards.
Okay. Will Dewitte, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On the way up, I was told that Sandy was having car troubles and that she wasn't going to be able to make the meeting this morning.
Oh,
To just
okay.
let the commissioners know.
Okay.
Just a couple quick things. Wanted to inform the commissioners about what's been going on in the farm. We've been picking lots of vegetables in the garden. It's coming along pretty good. One of the big things that's happened is we had a lightning strike hit one of our poles out here a couple weeks ago. Trying to kind of got an idea of when it happened. We didn't know exactly that it happened at first. I went down to the pig barn and noticed that the lights weren't really working. They were like a real dim, and so we started investigating the situation. I reported on having this motor that we took out to have rebuilt had problems.
Yeah.
Found out we had power issues out there. Well, both of these power issues come from the same source, and so we called the electrician out, because we called PSNH, and they said, well, if we come out and there's not a problem, you're going to get charged a lot of money. So we called the electrician to verify it first. He did some testing, and we start looking around. Normally there's fuses that drop open like a gate and they're hanging. There was nothing hanging. We got closer and looked. It blew the fuse right out of the thing. It was laying on the ground on the grass. So, needless to say, we had to get that the compressor motor fixed, and we're going to be replacing that this week.
So Public Service came out and...
Yeah, as soon as we noticed
handled the
that,
problem.
yeah, we called them and they came right out, no problem. They were out that within a couple hours of calling.
So there was still electricity coming, but it wasn't up to full strength.
Right, it's a 3-phase and only 1 phase was working. 2 phases were out, and that's why it was all dim lights and stuff, because it wasn't...
It didn't affect any of our motors?
Well, I think that it did. I think it had affected that motor out there, and we had, later on, we checked in the sewer system, because we had heard that the jail had problems. I haven't talked to Jason about it, but we had heard that they had problems with the air conditioning right around the same time.
Yeah.
We checked out there. We had 4 pumps go down in the BioClears. I can't prove. I don't know just yet. We're still looking into it, but we're hoping, or we're thinking that that had something to do with the lightning strike also, to have 4 of them go down. It's not uncommon for us to have 1 or 2 rotate and go down. They're disposable pumps, but
Yep.
to have 4 go down is unusual for us. So we replaced, because we always keep 2 on hand, we replaced 2. The other 2 just came in, and we're going to replace those this week, so that we'll have that.
Now look, when the power like that happens, our generator won't take care of it?
It didn't affect the generators because it wasn't completely out, I guess. Because it was still had 1 phase coming in, so it still had some electricity coming in. It wasn't completely out. When you look up at the pole, there's 3 fuses. At least 1 was blown right out. I'm assuming another one was bad because, like I said, when he measured it with his meters, there was 2 of the 3 phases were out. So they came out, replaced it. We seem to be back full power. It's just going around and fixing these pumps and things that got affected by it.
So I'm not sure if I follow you. Are you saying that we lost some pumps as a result of the
I
lightning
believe so.
strike?
At this point, I believe so.
Did
We're
they
still
come back in full power, the pumps themselves?
No, it burnt them out.
It burned them out.
So we got to replace them. I mean, those pumps, I had to get a price on them, but those in the BioClears, they're pretty expensive. They're probably, I'm going to say, in the few hundred range each, and we had to replace 4 of them.
So what's going on now in the meantime?
We got 2 of them
Oh, you got 2 of them?
already up and in,
Okay.
which is fine. We can run like that for a little while. And the other 2 just came in this week, and we're replacing them this week before the end of the week. So we'll be up and running fine. You can run with a few down. It's not the end of the world because there's 2 in each thing, and they rotate on and off to help last longer. But if you have to run one for a while steady because this one's burnt out, it's not gonna you just don't want to do that all the time, but you can get away with it for a little while. So that's what we're doing for right now.
Well, I'm glad you found the cause and
Yeah,
fixing what.
You know, I noticed the lights right away down at the pig barn, and because I'm down there every day, but I just thought it was something within the barn, and until we started discovering all these other problems, that we put it together that it was that was the cause.
Good job.
Working on, since we've been getting some rain again these last couple of weeks, the lawns are starting to grow nicely around here again, and which adds more work on. And then we started digging. Yesterday we got a post hole digger. We dug the holes, 26 holes for the pole barn. Today they're out putting sonotubes in, and they got to dress up the holes a little bit and then put the sonotubes in. And I'm hoping probably at the beginning of next week at the latest that we can get a cement truck in here to pour our concrete on those. And between now and my goal is before snow falls is to have that pole barn up. It's we got a little more haying to do, but in between that, my main goal for myself, I might have the other employees out doing things, but my main goal is to be concentrating on the pole barn construction. Last week we had a inspection for the water department from the state. A gentleman comes from the state every 3 years to do a inspection on our system. He goes from everything from goes to our wellheads and takes a popsicle stick and sticks it under there to see if the seal is good so that things can't get into there. I mean, that's how detailed this inspection is. Throughout the whole system, it takes probably 4 or 5 hours of, you know, white glove inspection kind of stuff. And we got the report back, no deficiencies. He was very happy with our system. Thought that we took very good care of it, very well. So it was good to have that report. I just wanted to say also that a large part of that, I mean, we work as a team out there, but I have to say a large part of what goes on with that water department is Wayne McBrien takes care of that. It's very well. We all pitch in, but he does a very good job with that. So I just wanted to give him an extra thank you on what he's done with our water department for that.
Okay.
And then the last thing I had to bring up was generator contracts. The old generator, I say old, but the generator at the old nursing home and this admin generator, usually we have like a 2-year maintenance contract that we do with Milton Cat. They come out, change the oils, they check the antifreeze level of as far as how cold the engine can get. They do just a very detailed inspection every year. They replace air filters often. They have a lot of different things. It's all part of their preventative maintenance package. We generally get a 2-year contract. Those 2 generators are up, but our new generator, the new nursing home, is not. It's got another year on the contract. So I asked the gentleman, instead of having these flip-flop times, if we could just get a contract to cover till that one's up so we can get all 3 generators on the same page and not have to worry about talking about contract stuff for that. So I have that this year, slightly up since last year, but not. I want to say I only have 1 copy that they sent me. Folks want to take a look at it. $608, I think it said. Last year, I think it was $580 something. So it's a little increase, but nothing significant, and it's just a 1 year to get us through till September of next year. Like I said, then we can put all 3 on the same page.
Okay. When you say the previous contract was $500 and something, was that also a 1-year contract?
It was a 2-year contract, but it was per year.
Per year.
Per year is what I meant.
What about the generator up on the mountain on the wells? Is that covered under any contract?
It's not under a contract. We have the gentleman, our electrician, that he does the maintenance on it every year. As a matter of fact, they went up 2 weeks ago, did a test on it. It's been a while. Did a test on it, found a couple faulty things they replaced on it. Then they usually every fall, like in October time frame, he comes around, he does all the preventative maintenance stuff on it. He's the one that hooked it up and is very knowledgeable about them. Since we've had it, he's been the one taking care of it. Does a very good job. When we have any kind of problems, I can call him and he'll be here within minutes for us usually. So with that generator, I've stuck with him because that's what's worked well.
Okay.
I don't know in the past. I remember doing this 2 years ago. I don't remember if you folks approved it and then I sign off, or if you guys need to sign off after you approve it.
We need to, Board of Commissioners need to sign all the contracts.
Okay.
Yeah. The nursing home, is this the old nursing home?
The old nursing home, yes.
Okay.
They're 3206s. I know when I just flipped through the next 2 pages, they both describe admin generator. I think that was just a misprint. One should be, they're the same exact generator. So one should be labeled admin and one should be labeled nursing home, which I'll have to talk to them about. But I think it's just a typo because they're both 3206s. They're the same model and everything.
I noticed that, same model.
Same model and same vintage. I don't know if the county bought both of them at the same time back in the day or what, but they're very similar.
Now, the old one, for the old nursing home, that's a Caterpillar that's out there in that outbuilding, right?
Yes, yep.
And the other one is
Right out your window here.
right out here,
Yep.
okay.
That's a Caterpillar also.
Well, they were purchased before my time. What's the privilege of the board as to signing these, approving these contracts from 9/1 to 9/12 to 9/1/2013 for $608 per year? Do I hear a motion?
Yes, so move.
Commissioner Kenny moves. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded that we sign a contract with Milton Caterpillar for maintenance for the two generators. All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So voted then.
That's not the same Caterpillar that makes big, heavy machinery, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they're all.
Local, U.S. firm.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, it is. Good, keep it in the country.
I believe the way the contract, I have to double check this, but I believe that the new generator we put in is getting serviced biannually, twice a year, but they recommended once that first couple of years gets through, we can go to an annual. So that way when they come out, they can do all of them all at once. They usually do, when they come out, they do these two in the same day.
Make sure you get another copy of that.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Yep. I can even I'll have enough copies run off if each commissioner would like one left at their desk.
We just need, well, it depends on them. I'd be happy just to have one copy for the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a copy
Yeah.
at your office.
And they'll make the adjustment on that issue that you said.
Yeah,
With something else.
yeah.
Okay.
And that's all I have for the commissioners, if there was anything.
You have plenty of, the haying is all done, right?
Not all done. We have 2 more fields that are probably going to be mulch quality fields that need to be done, and then I'm hoping that we can try to squeak in some second crop.
Okay.
Slow growing back, but maybe we can squeak some in here in September, late August, September timeframe.
You have plenty of help available?
It's questionable at times, but
Okay.
we're getting by.
All right. Any further questions for Will?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike Santuccio? Morning.
Morning.
I asked that you could put on the agenda, not to put you on the spot, or the sheriff's department on the spot, but I've heard from 2 different sources that they have never had a bid or was questioned regarding the purchase of vehicles for the sheriff's department, or any maintenance or repairs done to any cars that have been in an accident. They just asked me about them, why they haven't received them, and so I'm sort of passing it on to the sheriff's department as to how you handle those.
Okay. Well, as far as the bids goes, there's state bids for all the cruisers, whether they're Dodges, Chevys, Fords like we have.
Okay.
That's put out by, I think it's actually Division of Department of Safety.
Okay.
We've always gone with the Fords. We decided to stick with the Fords even though there was a model change this year.
Mm-hmm.
There's a number of reasons. The cruisers are all Keto-like. the equipment transfer. It saves money in the long run. One of the biggest sellers of the Interceptor package was of this one that isn't available in the other models is the all-wheel drive for this area. Is pretty necessary given where we have to respond to or perform our sheriff's duties.
Okay, so the purchase of the vehicle, which we are doing now, is purchasing rather than
Correct.
leasing, right?
Yeah.
So it all goes through a state bid.
We take the state bid and decide which cruiser we want to go based on, like I said, they've always gone with Ford here at the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Then we'll go to the local one, McDonald Motors, say this is the state bid, you need to come close to this or hit it or come close to it, and they do,
Yeah.
and then we purchase them, yeah.
Okay.
If we decided to go with one of the Chevy products, we would go to one of the Chevy dealers and do the same thing.
Yeah.
Whether Dodge or.
So we really don't put anything out to bid for a cruiser. We go by the state bid, what the
That's
state is
traditionally
bidding on.
What's traditionally
and we
what
go with their price.
That's traditionally what most departments as far as I've known, that's what all the departments do. They go by the state bid.
Okay.
The state will get the lowest bid because they order the most. They're the potential
Right.
for ordering the most cars,
Right.
and they honor that. Cruiser bid is honored throughout the state.
Okay, sounds reasonable. What about repairs? to vehicles?
The repairs we use, like down here, we'll use Northern Tire, Crowell's. We use McDonald Motors. McDonald Motors obviously is a dealer. So if
Okay.
we have any warranty items or dealer items, we're going to go to the Ford dealer. As far as like the minor oil changes, minor fix issues, tire rotations and stuff,
Yeah.
they have these departments. If there's any garage out there that wants to be a part of it, they can give us, let me know. Since I've been down here, which is a little over 9
I know
years.
I've seen Northern Tire.
Northern Tire, Crowell's, and McDonald Motors are the
Rogers.
3 that have been involved in that.
Okay.
These companies what you're talking about are all local?
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
all within the county.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's only, yeah.
It might be good to put out a notice to all repair shops that when vehicles, ask them if they're interested in repairing vehicles. And if it's a warranty, you have to go to a Ford dealer or that kind of thing versus a repair shop. But
I mean,
it
if
might
they're,
be good.
yeah, and sorry to cut you off, I didn't mean
Yeah,
to.
go ahead.
The guys tend to use the repair shops that's closest to them. There's Northern Tire's right down the road. Crowell's has locations. McDonald's Motors up north. If there's another, there's for the northern cars. If there's someone else up there that wants to look at if I had a guy come to me say I want to use, one of the shops up north, and then we would call them and talk to them, and so it's not, we don't intentionally leave someone out. We just go to where we've always gone, and if we hire someone and they live in Bartlett and they want to use a Bartlett repair shop, we would call them, make sure that everything's along the same lines, and we wouldn't have a problem with that. We use Freshette Tire a lot as well. So
I don't recall the cost involved, but if it's going to be over $5,000 repairs, then it ought to go out for bid.
if it's over $5,000, which is generally a warranty item, and we've gone to McDonald
Yeah, if it's a
Motors.
warranty item.
Yeah,
no problem.
at my time here, and again, I don't remember anything. It is any repair over $5,000. I'm sure we would be discussing it with you.
I can't remember seeing any voucher.
Yeah.
Right.
Any large item we would probably discuss with you because it would probably be unanticipated and then an impact on the budget.
Okay. Okay, anybody have any questions? If not, thank you, unless you've got something else.
No.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
You're all clear on the towers and everything, the transfer of money and so forth.
We did
The
it
question,
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the question was raised last week, and it mainly affects the Wakefield area.
Mhm.
And it was $3,000 that was transferred out of an account and put into another account.
Correct.
I did check with Kathy Geary before we voted on that. I didn't mention that last week, but she said there was no problem with your budget as far as she saw. So
Yeah,
it was just a
I
question
hope
that was
not.
raised.
Yeah, we wouldn't
So
transfer.
it's beneficial that we have better coverage, so.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that should be coming up online soon. We have narrow banding that we have to at narrow banding is beginning of September. Our agency has to go to it before everyone else does, because most of them dispatch through us. And then everything should be coming online soon. I'll give you more information when I get it.
Yeah. Are there other, I'm sure there must be other areas in the county where we don't have good communications because of the mountains and so forth.
Right.
So are we looking at doing something in these other areas as well?
Yeah, because this other tower coming up, it forced us to look at the infrastructure, which was put in place over 10 years ago with the new digital frequencies that come out. And for New Hampshire, the digital thing it's challenging sometimes, because digital is line of sight, where the analog would float a little and get into the valleys. So we do have some challenges in some certain areas. For the most part, we're good. Next thing I think we're going to be looking at is, for the police side, is splitting a northern frequency and a southern frequency, because where we are now, if we could have, we're covering from Bartlett all the way to Wakefield, and if a Wakefield car is out on a portable, you know, speaking, Bartlett car may not hear it, and it's just, we're busy enough now where we need to look at splitting the frequencies, and I have people looking into that, and once that does come to where I can get some pricing and some, you know, a plan in place, and obviously we're going to come talk to the commissioners about it, but that's the big next move that we're looking at.
Okay, regarding the dispatch center, I don't remember seeing a copy of something that you sent out to the towns, Molten Borough, Wolfboro, and Conway, regarding some information that they had requested. Did you send us a copy?
I sent something to Kathy. We're struggling they were looking at, they want to know exactly, you know, how much of the deputies' service is, how much of the Wolfboro is by the deputies, how much is by Wolfboro, how much is sheriff's duties, how much is responding to, you know, criminal investigations and stuff. And our software is challenging at best to do that. It's the way that it searches is by region, not by department.
Or by town.
Or by town. So I sent out something. I'm not sure it's going to answer the question, but it should give a general idea.
Okay. Make a copy for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you sent it to us.
I sent it to Kathy to send out to the interested parties.
Okay.
So
okay.
I can forward it to her again.
Do you see another meeting coming up regarding dispatch?
I think the next meeting would just have to be with the delegation to see if they want. I think most of from what I'm seeing, it's a tax impact, and we're a property tax state, and you know, it's run that way for a reason, and all those issues have been discussed, and I think the delegation needs to decide.
Would you be prepared for the 27th of August? That's when the delegation is going to be meeting, to explain the dispatch side of it. If the question comes up, I don't know if it's on the agenda or not.
If they want us to come in the 27th, as long as we know what issues they particularly they want to discuss, then we can. I'm sure.
Well, I think it's the issue of those three towns wanting a tax break, and whether our dispatch can handle those three towns, rather than them doing it individually. I don't. That's up to you in the dispatch. I don't know how you.
We can handle the whole county, but what we need to do is we need to expand. We have manpower and equipment for what the county is, what the towns have come to us and said we want you to dispatch for us.
Yep.
If we have another town such as Molten Borough or Wolfboro or Conway that want to come and have us dispatch through them, we would obviously have to adjust equipment-wise and manpower-wise.
Yep.
As far as like they talk about the window service, that's important to the towns.
That's their problem.
Yeah, I mean we have window service here at the sheriff's office from 9 to 5 every day too, and it is important for us. So I understand why that's necessary.
Yeah.
Is there any way that you could coordinate what they have into the sheriff's department, so that they maintain their window, but they become part of the sheriff's department?
Again, that's how they would want to do it. If we were just dispatching their police officers, you know, at Wakefield. I mean, every town that we dispatch for has, I shouldn't say every town, but most towns. I know, you know, Bartlett, Madison, Wakefield, Ospey, all those Freedom, at the selectman's office. If you walk in and you want to see an officer during those day hours, they have someone at the window. So they all have window service, as well as, you know, Conway, Marlboro. So So
Okay.
the window service is something it's necessary, and most towns have it, that have a police department.
All right,
I don't,
right.
offhand, I'm not sure of any town that doesn't have it, that has a police department.
Eaton doesn't have it. We
No, but they don't have a
either.
police department, so, yeah.
Is it possible for you and the sheriff's department to come up with some cost estimate if we decided, or if the town decided that they wanted the sheriff's department to handle the dispatch? Is there any way of figuring out what it would cost to take on Wolfboro, or to take on Wolfboro, or all three of them?
Yeah, obviously we'd
That's
have to.
something that
We'd
we
have
need
to,
to-
so I mean, I could look at the cost and the impact, and, then how that would impact the tax dollar as well and so forth. My understanding is none of them want us to dispatch for them, they just wanted the tax break, so.
Right.
That's gonna be a pretty big undertaking, and I don't want, just like us, when we first started, they said, well, you can't handle us, so why are we even discussing? And my response back to is, if I don't wanna, expand our dispatch center and say, okay, now we can handle it, and then they come back and say, no, we're all set.
Yeah,
Our dispatch center and our sheriff's department is gonna run, on what the needs are of the county. And
Mhm.
Conway, Wolfboro, and Moultonboro say, we don't need your dispatch center, we have our own. And I think that's great, that's fine.
yeah.
So we're gonna continue to operate and, on the needs of what we have.
Okay, what I'm afraid of is that, not afraid, but a question that may come up by the delegation as to what would it cost to take on those three towns?
Mhm.
Rather than give them a tax break, what would it cost us to do the dispatching
Mhm.
for those three?
Okay. I can take a look at it, if you want. I can
Yeah.
try and take, the best I can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
taking on a town the size of,
I mean, you're not going to be as accurate as you could be, but it might be some figure that may have an effect on which direction
Yeah.
delegation goes.
taking on a town the size of Conway would be, that would be a pretty big impact.
Yeah,
To include, and Wolfboro, and Moultonboro, maybe.
yeah. Okay, any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob?
Morning.
Good morning. You see the agenda every week here.
Well, I'm trying not to be. This week is pest control. Pest control. We are required by state law to have a pest control program in place. So JP Pest Services, who has been our contractor at the old building, they're our contractor at the new building. We have a new contract, we're up for renewal. They have not changed the price. They've carried over the price from last year. So that being said, I saw no reason to go out and seek other prices for it. I did that the previous year. When we moved into the new building, JP Pest Services gave us the best price, the best package, and to go forward with another company at this point would be a change in cost. Plus, they would also hit us with an installation fee. So it's better for us to go forward with an existing company. And since they decided not to change the price on us,
And the price is below $5,000?
It's below $5,000. Yep, I feel very confident.
$3,360.
$3,360, exactly. I have no problem recommending them to you this year to sign again. And the Mountain View Annex. We did not have a pest control contract after we moved out of the building. We've been the last year without any pest services over there. And I did that because we didn't know what was going to happen with the building. We could have been doing some major construction by now. So I left that off the table. But since we're still up in the air and I don't foresee any parts of the building coming down in the near future, we need to have some kind of mitigation in there. Rodents, whatnot, just basic rodent control. This is the time of year that they're going to start looking for places to move in for the winter, and they've got a nice warm building over there, a nice warm boiler room, and we don't want a mouse-infested building. So they've given us a proposal of $972 annually with a $224 one-time installation fee because they have to set up their traps. So that's going to be total for the first year of $1,196. The annex money is technically not budgeted for. However, we do have money in the building maintenance budget just for this purpose. Unforeseen expenses, and I think that there's plenty of room in there. And this would only be about $300 this year because we're only talking from September on.
Okay.
Okay. The remainder of the money would go into next year's budget. So I'm only
Next year it should be under the annex and not under your maintenance.
No. This is still under annex. We still have an annex budget, and that's where this would come from.
Oh, okay. I thought you said there wasn't any money in the annex budget.
There is money in the budget, but not specifically for this.
Oh, I see.
They put in $5,000 for unanticipated maintenance and repair.
Yep.
We've used about 2,000 of that so far.
Yep.
Maybe about 2,500 actually, I think. So there is money left over, and $300 fee for this year I don't think would have any drastic impact on that budget.
Okay. What's the privilege of the board?
I just had a question regarding the annex. Didn't you say that this company already was a provider of service to the annex
Yes,
at one
they
time,
were.
at least at one time?
Yes, they were.
So there is still a $224 one-time charge?
Well, they have to set up
But
Yeah,
if they
they-
did it before, why wouldn't they be all set up?
because their traps are gone. They took them away.
Oh, they-
When the contract expired, they took their
Oh.
traps
Oh,
away.
the contract did expire?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. And because we didn't know what was going to happen with the building, I didn't chase it. Yeah, I didn't spend any money on it.
Yeah.
The GP best services, is it for all, are we using the services for all the buildings?
Yes,
on
I
the
believe
complex?
they're the entire pest control company on the
And
campus.
where are they located? Where are they from?
Laconia, I believe. They're local.
Milford.
Oh, Milford, I'm sorry.
Takes care of ants, cockroaches, silverfish, beetles, earwigs, crickets, mice, and rats, bees, wasp nests,
Okay.
up to 15 feet from the ground for wasp nests. Oh. We do our best to help you with house flies and fruit flies. Other pests may be covered as a courtesy during our regular scheduled services. Do they handle geese?
Yeah, they do. A phenomenal fee, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. Have you ever seen any termites in that
No.
building?
No,
I think it's too cold for them up here.
I do.
That's what I was told.
Same thing with cockroaches. Termites and cockroaches, you don't see very
Well,
many
you
of
see
them up here.
cockroaches, and you see cockroaches because we're a tourist
Yeah,
area,
they come with
Oh,
the...
they
and they
bring
bring
them
in.
in
Yeah.
their luggage
Yeah,
from
you don't see very many of
different
them.
hotels. I know when I was an ag agent, we had several calls from motels up in Conway because of transient cockroaches
They come with,
moving in.
They come with names on them?
They vacation as
Yeah.
well.
Green
Little
coats.
suitcases. No, but I did hear that. You're right. They do come with, from other places.
Okay, what's your privilege?
Yeah, so, and this is for the whole building, huh?
Yes.
So it is 1196 this year, and then 972.
That's the
Well,
annual contract.
for 1 year. This year, there's only 4 months left in this year. It's going to carry over into next year.
Oh, okay.
Now, the one for the Mountain View community, 3,360, that's effective right now, or?
Well, it's the same thing.
Is this for the end of the year?
It's a 1-year contract starting now. It's going to carry over, so only part of this money will be paid out of this year's budget. The remainder of it will be paid out of next year's budget. But since we already have a contract with them, we've got last year's contract that we're paying this year. So
Okay.
essentially, it's the same thing.
Okay,
Bottom line's the same.
okay. Do I hear a motion to accept these two contracts? Nobody wants to make a motion?
I'll move to accept the two contracts.
Do I hear a second?
Yeah, second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in support of the motion say aye.
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 So voted then. Then I'll sign it. Anything else?
No.
Is this the original?
That's fine. They
Okay.
don't care.
As long as they get their money.
That's right.
Anything else? Everything else is running all right over there?
Yeah. We're still burning pellets.
Any idea how much we're burning a month?
I took a look last week, and it looks like we've, out of the load that we bought to fill the silo, it looks like we've burned about 6 or 7 tons already.
How many?
6 or 7. That's just a guesstimate.
Yeah. Okay.
They're on automatic delivery?
No. No, I have to call them. There's level indicators.
Oh, okay.
I'll be keeping an eye on it.
How often are they cleaned?
Well, they clean themselves automatically.
Mm-hmm.
I have to clean them once a year. You know, I have to go in with a brush and a vacuum and clean them out once a year. But for the most part, they're continually cleaning. They automatically pull ash. There's an air compressor that blows ash from the front to the back where it drops down into a chamber. And these are all on time cycles.
Okay. Have you have a full maintenance equivalent of people? Are you up to where you should be for maintenance?
No, I'm down one.
And what are we doing about that one?
It's been posted internally. I've got a little movement internally, but no one's applied for the open position.
Is there a deadline?
No, not yet. It's open right now. It's being published.
Okay.
I don't know if it hit the paper this week.
Published in newspapers?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Newspaper,
Website.
website.
Okay.
Yeah. It's basically open till filled.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I see Debbie is here. You want to talk about this?
Debbie, you got something for us for insurance or sign up? Okay.
Mr. Babson,
Yes, ma'am.
previously you had requested numbers on the potential savings to the county by the insurance committee's decision to go with New Hampshire Interlocal Trust and Harvard Pilgrim rather than with Local Government Center.
Right.
I told you I did have some numbers for you.
Yes, ma'am.
I went ahead and submitted those to New Hampshire Interlocal Trust. They have a very nifty little program that draws up a pretty little spreadsheet that I can certainly provide a copy to you of. But the results of the numbers that I gave to them indicated that overall the savings to the county by the insurance committee's decision was in the neighborhood of $149,071.43 over the course of the contract.
Wow.
Say that again.
$149,071.43.
$149,000.
Now that does indicate the entire premium, not just the county's cost. The county does have an 80-20 split, which I think is a fairly industry-wide standard. There are some exceptions to that, of course. But that would bring that figure down to roughly $120,000 over the life of the contract.
So the 149,000, excuse me, sorry, T.
Go ahead.
The 149,000 is the savings overall. 80% of that is the figure you're quoting.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
I also,
Go ahead.
if you wish, sir, or I can hold this until later, you had requested that we look into developing a county handbook.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have 3 copies of that developed handbook available for you. I
Okay.
can give to you now.
Okay. Yep.
Excellent. Thank you.
You can review those at your leisure and get back to me on them if you wish. There is one more policy that I'm still working on, and I can discuss that with you later. All right?
Very good, thank you
All
very
right,
much.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Solomon, we had, I think a couple of weeks ago, we had a person coming in from Strafford County. You get a flyer from Strafford County about the policies. Can I see that? It was like a yellow booklet, what he
Oh.
handed to you.
Yes, downstairs, I believe.
Oh, okay.
What was that? What was that?
They had like a handbook, Strafford County,
Okay.
and there was somebody in
Somebody had come in for the position of HR,
Oh,
and he offered that information, and I took it.
okay. Okay, I guess Sandy Mckenzie's probably
Yeah,
still got
Rob is
car
not here,
problems,
so-
so. I guess what I'd like to do now is I'd like to bring up the position of HR. We've had a number of 20 applications for that position. The committee narrowed it down to 5. We interviewed 4, if I'm correct. And we
Actually, we
did,
interviewed 5.
we interviewed 5?
4 at one time and 5. And the-
Okay, that's right, we had 1 left. And the committee recommended a person from Senate Conway. So, do any of the commissioners have comments regarding that position? It was recommended, that person was recommended by the committee that looked at all of the candidates. And after interviewing, they still wanted to go with this person from Senate Conway. So what is your privilege?
I would just say I did check on the references that she gave,
Mhm.
and they were very positive.
Okay. Do you have any comments, Commissioner Kenny, regarding that position?
Yeah. Actually, I prefer a county administrator, but look at this individual background. I think she has a good background, and she sounds very professional, and I think she will make a good asset to the county.
Okay.
I'm not sure I followed that, but do you want to hire her as the HR person is what I guess the question
Yep.
would be.
Okay, you want to make that a motion? And the salary that was talked about with her was $50,000. And she agreed that she would still be interested in that
That is the start salary.
Yes, starting salary.
starting
And
salary.
there would be a,
6-month probation
right,
and a adjustment in salary after that time.
The
Right.
one that all in,
yes.
or just make a motion to hire Janet Sullivan.
Well, we hire her with the understanding that she's on 6 months probation,
Okay.
and after that time, a salary adjustment would be made.
Okay, so I move.
You moved it, okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on hiring Janice Sullivan from Senate Conway to fill the county HR position? All those in support of the motion, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Then so voted. I will get in contact with her. I don't know what her status is presently. She probably has to give a notice to where she is working now, but hopefully she will be on staff as soon as possible.
Rob is coming.
I see Rob came in. Rob, would you come up, please?
Sure. Good morning.
Good morning. Rob, I think you were requested to be here
I just had,
as a result of Commissioner Solomon. Had a question for you?
I've got a couple of questions. Take the first one, the easy one. Well, actually, they're both easy questions. The collection here that we've started, is it covering the costs?
The what?
the monies that we have asked
Oh,
people
up here?
to put in?
Not yet.
Not yet.
You gonna make an adjustment?
Well, we're not getting consistent contributions. It doesn't look like, there's some days there's $1, some days there's 3 or 4.
Let's see.
So what are you talking?
If we had, say, $10 a week, that would cover it.
Oh, you're talking about the snacks here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Is that something you recommend eliminating?
We get a full breakfast for that?
I think it's nice to have coffee, but that's just my personal opinion, for the meetings. It's not a major expense to us.
So what is
So
the big?
it's probably paying for, half to 3/4 of the cost.
It doesn't even include the cost for your time to bring it over
Well,
here, to pick it up and to take
since
it
I'm
back.
salaried, that's a fringe benefit for the county, so.
Well, we appreciate that.
So what is actually the cost? Is it actually the snacks that you provided? That you
Yeah, just
actually
the coffee, to brew one of those pots of coffee, it's taking 2 ounces of coffee, so, it's all told probably 45 cents or so.
I remember that when I go to buy coffee at
Yeah,
Dunkin' Donuts.
there's a big markup on beverages in food service.
Okay, you had another question?
Yeah, I did have another question. Last week, we had 2 gentlemen in regarding a homeless shelter. And I was just wondering if we should proceed with this, if the delegation agreed and we should proceed with this, would you be able to supply food for them at a price? Would you be able to supply food for them?
Yeah, the short answer is yes, we can,
Okay.
from the existing, facility that we have at Mountain View.
Oh, straight from there. Interesting. Okay, good.
Yeah, I would recommend that since we're producing and satelliting, to the Department of Corrections, picking up, another satellite would not be, taxing on us now.
They're talking about 58, they were talking about 58 people
Okay.
last week.
Would you be able to, and this is just something I just thought of now, would you be able to train someone who's actually living there to do the cooking or take care of at least part of the duties of what goes on?
We certainly could arrange it. I briefly this morning, I saw that the question was probably going to come up, so I wasn't sure what type of facility it was going to be.
We don't know either.
I'll submit this to you anyway. This probably, sums up what the issues would be in terms of, production and then serving. It would either be, we would be producing the food only and delivering it to that other facility and charging for that, or we would be producing and serving the food. So
Serving would not, they have to do that themselves.
Okay.
That's part of the project. The project would have to be a self-sustaining one, where they have, the people who are living there are doing the work. That's the whole point of this thing. And so that was my question is, could somebody work for your department like that?
depending on who that individual is, if they were someone that, would be on a permanent basis and, could be trained and, certified in safe food handling, et
Oh, okay.
cetera.
I don't,
Okay.
I don't think, the way they discussed it last week, that it would not be a permanent resident for them. It's a transition for them to get to a better place someplace else,
Yeah,
get their own.
that's quite true. However, as I was at a meeting, and I'll be talking about that in a few minutes, one of the things that they talk about is that some people stay as much as a year,
Well, yeah.
so that you would have somebody who could pass that course. And,
Yeah, or maybe, they'd have to have paid employees there
Right.
operating the facility. So if one of those individuals, would be trained and capable of monitoring,
Mhm.
the food safety. and serving aspects of it. The second option, I wasn't sure, I had heard, you know, that it might be veterans, et cetera, so I wasn't sure what the client base would be. You know, the option of their dining at our facility.
Yeah, is always a possibility.
It would be, depending on, you know, the nature of the client there.
Did they get a per diem fee, any of the veterans? Did Veterans Administration pay for any of their meals or housing?
That's still, that's something
No?
that they would have to be.
You're familiar with that, right?
If you want to get the feds into this is going to take a long time. Well, can we have public input at some time to discuss this? Because I have some other concerns that have been raised.
Okay. Along the same lines of training, what is left in the kitchen over there? Is there enough equipment left to prepare meals in that kitchen?
Yes.
I mean, the hood and the stoves are still there.
Yes.
The dishwashing is
There's
still
an
there.
oven and there's a range, the dishwasher is there, there's a mixer, you know, the sinks are there, the prep tables are there.
Yeah.
The only thing that we don't have, and we brought to the new building, were the hot food serving counters themselves. But that's not a huge expense.
Yeah.
And you can even there is food transport equipment that does double duty. It can be transferred to a unit and then just opened and served right from the same
Right,
container.
right. Okay. What about the dining room itself? Tables, chairs, still there? I don't know if I should ask Bob.
If you remember those pink chairs, they're
Yep.
still around.
Okay,
And I think many of the tables are still around.
okay.
Should be enough.
Further questions?
No, thank you.
Ashley, you have any questions?
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay. How many people are you may not have this on the top of your head, how many people are you feeding over at the jail?
Well, it's ranging from 60 to 90, depending on, you know,
The number of
the
visitors we have?
Yeah, and they sometimes have staff training, so they'll have, you know, more of their staff on during a mealtime.
Okay.
But the average this summer has probably been 60, 65 total
Okay.
meals per mealtime.
Okay. And how many are we feeding at the nursing home, at the community?
Well, you know, 130 residents and, you know,
And staff.
the average is 75 staff and visitors during the mealtime. And the cafe sales are between $100 and $300 a day.
And is that
Would you
paying for itself?
I had, you know, when I was anticipating the cafe, just for revenue, I was just figuring $100 a day.
Okay.
So
So
again,
you're
we're
pretty well.
yeah, and we're operating that with, you know, the same labor that we had in the old facility.
Mhm.
So,
Are you short on help now or not?
just part-time, you know, part-time like 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. cleaners, high school, you know, like the high school age crew.
How
Some
many
turnover.
from the high school? From Kingswood High School?
Actually, I have 2 right now from Molten Borough Academy.
Really? Okay. And are they in that kind of a curriculum?
No.
No, they're just, this is just work.
Yes. They work weekends and
Weekends? Yeah,
after school, 4 to 8. Yep.
okay. Well, that's good.
Yep.
Okay. You have a question, right?
Is it all right if I ask Rob?
Go ahead.
Rob, is the cafe something you can advertise so that the local people know that it's available?
We're doing on a low-key basis, you know, it's basically word of mouth right now, because I didn't want to get into a position where I was competing with local business either.
Mhm.
So it's more of a convenience for visitors, but as, you know, some people are becoming aware of it, you know, or like there's a vet hospital down the road there. You know, they asked us, you know, to be on the email list of the menu, so we're doing that.
Mhm. How about over at the courthouse. We have many people.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Yeah, quite a few.
Yes.
So
I've had many people tell me they have stopped in because they were in the courthouse, and they stopped in and praised the building and what's going on.
we actually picked up one of our part-time employees is a employee of the court.
Huh.
So they finish there at 4 and then come right over to the cafe, actually. So.
Huh.
What's up?
Okay. I would open it up for public if you have any. Yeah, go
The
ahead.
cafe is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Or
Yes.
It is, all
So,
three?
yes.
What are the hours for breakfast?
7 to 9 a.m. and then 10:45 to 1 and 5 to 7 p.m. 7 days a week.
And there's something there to tell you how much you pay?
Yeah, we have a little cash register. And it's like a little Subway, you know, as far as the concept goes. Sandwiches are made to order. We bake fresh rolls every day.
Mr. Babson had a question.
Yes, I don't know whether this would be better for public input, or you mentioned that you were asking about how many are being fed at the jail, and the comment was it fluctuates, and on staff training days, there might be a lot more. It was my impression in my years on the delegation that the reason they get the food at the jail was because they couldn't have the correction officers running out for lunch when they were on duty.
That's true.
Why are we feeding them during staff training if the staff that isn't working is coming in for training, and why aren't they bringing their own lunch?
How often does that happen?
Not very often. You know, it may be once or twice a month that we'll see that. I don't know what they're actually, at my meeting with them, I have a monthly meeting with DOC, and that's tomorrow, so I could ask them what the schedule is.
Okay. All right. Good question. Maureen?
Well, as a sort of follow-up to the cafe, I was just wondering if it would be something you could put on the website so people would know it's available.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly could.
Yeah. He is correct. I mean, there are other restaurants not close by where people could go, and we don't want to be in the job of competing with them. I know.
Why not? It's a business. I mean.
Well.
Yeah.
It is and it isn't. It's county taxpayers' dollars that are going into running the cafe or the dietary department.
Well, that was the premise, that the cafe was going to be hopefully paying for itself, so
yeah.
I disagree with that, David.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Right, Rob? Am I off base?
No, we did talk at one point, that it would be more of a retail facility, but we didn't staff it that way. We're staffing it more as a lunch area for the county staff. But we have the capacity certainly to increase the number of customers that we have.
I disagree with this competitive argument also. What we get in campaigning and the wood and the hay is being done by the inmates, and the labor is free.
Yeah.
We're certainly not having these people work over here in the kitchen for nothing, so whoever can do the job best ought to get the business. And I don't see that it's the same thing as the hay or the wood.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment on that? Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Rob?
What is the timing as far as the old facility being occupied? Do we know?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Okay.
It's not tomorrow.
Okay. Do I need to budget for anything for next year?
I don't think so.
I hope.
Probably not, but you might want to keep it in the back of your mind that something may happen. Okay?
If we go retail, we'll put a sign out closer to the road then for the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
Check the sign ordinance in the town of Ossipee. Make sure we are.
And need more parking.
You need more parking?
For the cafe if we go public.
Oh. Really?
Yeah, that is a complaint now, where when folks come over from the courthouse, that there's not always convenience, parking.
From the courthouse, they don't walk?
No, not all of them.
Is the staff, do they have assigned parking areas, do you know? It's not a question, I mean, you may not. be
Well, the
knowledgeable.
visitors have assigned parking area, and the staff takes anything that's left. So,
Okay. Okay.
I
Jack?
thought putting it on the website was a good idea.
Mhm.
the menu,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
Okay.
And advertise, you know, it's an
easily do that. It's
Sure.
because I send it over on a PDF file now to all of these facilities that
Okay.
request it.
And the hours and so.
Yep.
Okay. And thank you, Larry.
You're welcome.
Okay, you want to get back to
Can I?
reports?
Yeah. Just a quick report on a bus, the Blue Loom bus service that services here in the complex. There will be this signage. I spoke with, it will be on the building here, and I spoke with Jerry. He says that he can put it on the brick building without any problem, and in fact, it will be better. So that was taken care of. And
the time that the bus stops.
oh, and just a quick thing about this signage, for those who are not challenged like me, and you have a smartphone, you can get the times and when the bus will be here from this little app. An app, yes, that's what it's called.
Would we have a problem with the sponsor?
Why? We have logos on the, don't we have logo on our van?
Because they paid for it?
Yeah, well, they paid for this.
Okay. Jack, go ahead.
You know, we went to various organizations who would pay for the signs. Kiwanis volunteered to put up the money to buy 40 signs, and therefore
They wanted,
their logo on that they were sponsors. And there's two methods of finding the schedule. One is the 800 number, obviously, which is posted there, or the quick reference code that Dorothy talked about. In addition to that, I'm being asked to post schedules below the signs.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
And we're coming up with how best to do that, because there's a concern, first of all, they have to be changed, because schedules change. And so we have to make it accommodate the ability to change the schedule, as well as that it has to be secure, so that it's not subject to vandalism and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
These signs are metal. I have one with me. I could have brought it this morning. They're really a nice sign. They come out really nice. However, putting it on the building is definitely an advantage over putting it on a pole. The pole is more subjective to damage than if it's mounted on the building. So I appreciate the fact that it's going to be on the building.
I need to tell you that it will appear in the Sun that I'm opposed to the Blue Loom transportation system from the standpoint of county dollars going into it. If individual towns are paying for it, I have no problem with that. But where Chatham, for example, their tax dollars would be going into it if there was any money coming out of the county. That's why I'm opposed to it. Same is true for Aiton, Effingham, some of those places, outlying places that pay county taxes but would not derive the benefit from it.
Effingham.
If they put money in the towns, that's fine.
That's correct. However, Chatham I agree with.
Yeah.
As far as Effingham, Freedom, Aiton, they are covered.
Okay.
And the monies that was being requested is for what's called dial-a-ride service, not the schedule. Has nothing to do with these bus signs, by the way. These bus signs are strictly for the schedule, which is paid for by the DOT. The bus service is provided by the DOT. Maintained by Tri-County Cap, but the funding comes from the DOT. The dial-a-ride service that you're referring to is where we went to the towns and asked for the money.
Okay,
I agree that we shouldn't go to both the county and the towns. However, out of the towns that you mentioned, the only one that I can think of
Chatham.
that's not covered is Chatham. And it's not totally true. If there was something that was required, we might even send a dollar-ride service to Chatham. However, that's questionable.
okay.
But, yeah, that's two separate things completely. I just wanted to make sure we understood that these signs have nothing to do with the funding that was requested of $3,000 from donor towns, if you will.
Yep, okay.
Okay.
Mr. Batson?
May I ask Mr. Rose a question, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Jack, that second option you gave for the schedule, is that the new Microsoft Reader tag? Where you used to aim your phone at the tag and it'll bring up the...
Yes, it is, yes.
Thank you.
Goes directly to Tri-County Cab and brings up the schedule.
Okay.
Right now, there's 2 steps involved. Eventually, the schedule will just appear on every smartphone. It won't have to go through the step of once you get into Tri-County Cab, then request the schedule.
In other words, when you focus on the square, it'll bring it up immediately without going to
That's correct.
cap and then...
Yep.
Thank you.
That's called a QR, a quick reference code.
Okay, you had something else?
Yes, on, I don't remember what Monday, wasn't Monday. On Monday, I went up to Plymouth because they were holding a meeting there with Senator Shaheen regarding the Plymouth area. It's not their homeless shelter, but rather they're putting in a more permanent, or they want to put in more permanent buildings. But that is something that comes after you've established a homeless shelter, because in order to go in to take part in something that looks like this, you have to buy in to this project. But I had an opportunity to listen to what goes on there as to about homeless shelters. I did take a look at the one they do run, which is on this campus of Whole. It's called the Whole Housing, I think, or Whole something. I don't remember what the name of it is. And the people who were talking to Senator Shaheen were from Soldiers On, which is a veterans group. And they have been doing this project all over the country, or at least northeastern part of the country. I don't know if they're out further. And they were very, very convincing. I will say that my nephew runs a partnership, runs in New York City, the Partnership for the Homeless. And he believes that all homeless, there should not be shelters, there should be permanent housing. But the concept that we're dealing with here is that people have to be able to learn to work, get off drugs, get off alcohol, before they can make themselves ready for a project like this. So we go work. The idea is to go to the first step, which is a shelter for everyone, or a shelter for, as Commander said, part of the shelter would be for the veterans, and part of the shelter would be for others. So it was very interesting, and we have further meetings with a representative from Senator Sheen's office. Hopefully we'll do that soon, and we'll continue on with this project. The commander and Mr. Mitchell will be at the delegation meeting on the 27th to present their information.
Anything else?
No.
Do you have anything you want to report on?
Oh yes, I just want to say something. Last week I have been accused of texting, and I had to think about it, what I was doing. And we have new technology. And then I was realizing that I have my electronic calendar here, an electronic notebook, where I put every time data in. So when Jason Johnson was here and he said, you were texting during Sandy Mckenzie. When she said that she was retiring or you saying something, every time I put something in, I put like a subject in, retiring. And then when I go home, I write about it because I had to think last week what he was talking about. So I went back and I looked it up. Like you said, Liz Bailey is coming in, we have it. I put it in too. I have an electronic calendar where I every time put in a couple things. That is the new technology now.
Is that what rang? Your new technology?
What?
Is that what rang about 15 minutes ago?
I forget to shut it off. Yeah, it is my calendar. If I put something in and I get reminders when there is a meeting. So that it is like a little alarm. It will tell me when I have something coming up. That's what I put every time in.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
Oh, yes. You said that you had difficulty for somebody for the Perry investigation. You were looking
Yes.
for, so you acknowledge you don't take the letter then? You're not going by the letter of the Belknap County?
No.
So you're going to look for somebody else?
Yep. Yep. That was brought up at the meeting you weren't at attendance at. Okay. Okay, I think we've handled everything on the agenda. Is there anything else that the board wants to bring up? I very quickly read over these September 21st non-public, and there's too much stuff in there to release. I will look at it again, and next week we will look to see what can be released and what can't be released. There's too many items in there that are probably still ongoing, that dealt with the nursing home and other areas. So I think we ought to get the copy of the other one that was requested was September 14th.
And there are at least 6 copies, 6 non-public minutes that have never been brought to the open meeting and been approved.
How are they signed then?
Would you check to see, make sure that those have
I'd
been
like to see
approved?
them.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will check. I look at 6 of them.
Yeah, but may I look at them too, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if we could review that September 14th, 2011 non-public
And
session.
then I have a copy of this because I don't think I ever saw this, what you have. How did you get this draft? I don't have this draft.
How do you know you don't have that draft?
We had 2 minutes
But I'll
for
look
that
in-
meeting.
I'll look at it.
Mm-hmm.
We have
And
draft and the approved one.
it was interesting,
This is a draft.
in that particular one, the minutes were changed and nothing that I had said at that non-public meeting were included in the minutes.
And
For that draft, all this is included in the other draft, it wasn't.
this is a draft.
So if you got both drafts,
This is a draft and this is not approved.
please bring in the other draft then. Okay?
Yep.
If, we'll open it up to public comment again, all over the place. Go ahead.
Oh, the homeless shelter. I went to my welfare officer and our police department, and they don't know of any homeless people in Ossipee per se.
Okay.
They gave me a list of homeless shelters, and most of these
in Carroll
homeless
County?
shelters, they are divided into emergency, or pregnant teenagers, or battered women's. The transitional ones are transitional ones where a family is displaced, they come and then they move on. They are in places like Nashua, Manchester, Hudson.
Big cities.
What's the difference between Ossipee and these places? They have sidewalks to walk to a business or to training. My 22-year-old daughter talked to me about it. She said, Mom, how many people in Ossipee don't even have their GED. Why don't they change it into a tech system? To go to college anyway here, you've got to drive for an hour or an hour and a half. So where's the infrastructure for these people to get a job or to walk on sidewalks?
May I answer that? Sidewalks I can't answer.
The Blue Loom,
Yes?
do homeless people have a smartphone that they can download? I don't even have a smartphone to download.
Why
the
would they
schedule.
have to have a smartphone when they can be told what the schedule is? It's going to be known right here, and the bus stops right in front of the building. It's
Okay.
walkable.
Irregardless of that fact, the children, what school are they going to go into?
There are unlikely to be any children.
I'm not going to argue, but I just want to bring these things out.
Yeah.
I have called a woman in the state, and she thinks it'd be a lovely idea to have one here, but the cost of it
But it's not.
is another thing.
The
Because when
co-
you look
Right.
at transitional shelters, they are in places. I don't think people from Conway, business people's PhDs that are going to train these people to get off drugs or to get off alcohol, are going to run down here to do that.
Mhm.
May I answer that now?
Go ahead.
It wasn't a question. It's, I don't think.
You
It
don't
wasn't a
care.
question
May I
whether
give
or
you
not
my-
you thought.
my
I'm just
thoughts?
making statements.
All right.
I just don't see it happening. I mean, God bless them if they do, but I just don't see that happening.
Okay.
There's so many people without jobs that when they have jobs, they want to keep their jobs. If my office is in Conway, I'm not driving down here in Ospey and giving you the time for this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to justify the Blue Moon more, which, you know, might be a good thing because I believe in public transportation, but because I live here, I have to have my own car because where I have to go and whatever. But it just doesn't make sense to put it here in Ossipee with the Blue Moon coming by 2 or 3 times a day, where in Conway you have sidewalks, in Dover you have sidewalks, Rochester, Hudson, Nashua, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I would request that a feasibility study be done and ask other shelters what their budget is,
Mm-hmm.
because it just,
Okay.
it's a monumental thing we're trying to do here.
Yeah. From my standpoint, I would have to think about it a lot more than what I have, but I don't see the county running that facility. I see it being private, some other group doing that. I don't see taxpayers' money from the county viewpoint going into that facility for the sheltered people. It's got to come from some other source. I don't know how that would be worked out as to the building, the facilities, sold to a private, rented to a private, or whatever. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I don't see the county commissioners responsible for that building housing people that need housing or other things that they need to get transitioned from where they are now into a permanent home and a permanent job. I don't see the county doing that. That's my own personal feeling.
May I
Go
just
ahead.
add, please? When I originally brought this concept to Commander Ayers, I made it perfectly clear to him that under no condition would the county take on any of the responsibility for costs. And in fact, that the county would charge those who are running the project for the use of electricity, utilities, water, any maintenance, the use of the kitchen, the use of anything that, the laundry room, anything that they needed, they would have to pay as any renter would pay. In addition, regarding the costs or where they would get their training, given that the jail already has a contract with somebody with mental health organization, I told that to Commander Ayers that they might be able to, I didn't say they could, but they might be able to pick up a contract with that same organization for their use. They could work with UNH for other things that they need. UNH is compatible for the entire county. They have the possibilities of using all sorts of the farm, for example. They could learn to work on the farm and learn something there. There are all sorts of symbiosis with what we have here on the county complex and what they need to run a well-run and something that will be beneficial to those people who are in need of getting their leg up. And certainly, the veterans deserve to get something out of this. They did put their lives on the line for us, and it's time that we gave them something back.
I'll get to you. Go ahead. You had your hand up first.
Yes, I have 6 things here, Mr. Chairman, questions and comments. And
is this in regards to the shelter? Could we, if you got
I
questions regarding that?
public input. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we are, but let's stay with the shelter first.
The only thing I have on the shelter
okay.
on my list is, I think I had 3 people this week after they read or watched the gentleman come in here is, how much, what will the extra cost to the town of Ossipee be if this is built? Certainly there's costs that aren't readily obvious that are going to be, I don't know, the fire department. Are we going to have new equipment down in the fire precinct because we now have 58 people? If someone somehow ends up with a child, are we going to be responsible for the help? And I couldn't answer the question, and I don't even know.
I don't see the county.
I don't even know if it's a legitimate question, but that's what I was asking.
The town, not the county.
Yep. The roads may be an issue. Taxes may be an issue. If that goes private, then the town of Ossipee is going to receive taxes for that building.
Not if it's a non-profit.
Well, okay. You got me. Go ahead, Marty.
That wasn't the object.
Yeah.
Just for clarity's sake, on the use of that building, and refresh my memory, it was my understanding that the county was looking to rent that building out. They didn't want anything to do with whatever business went in there.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We all talked about last
Yep.
year, numerous times.
Yes.
So whether it's a homeless shelter or insurance agency or whoever's looking for a space.
Office space or whatever.
Right.
Yep.
The county isn't going to be responsible for it.
That's my feeling.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I just want to speak a little bit about, I think it's a good idea, but it's being sold on purely veterans. And that kind of concerns me. It's not just veterans. You won't be able to discriminate. You're going to have women and children, men, children. You're going to have the 18 to 21, male, female. You're going to have veterans.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need background checks. All I'm saying is the county's responsibility is you are the landlord. We are the landlord.
Yep.
We're looking at suits. We're looking at different things. My whole point is, I think a lot of people need to take in information. Those people who are sold on the project need to listen for some of those other concerns. Now, I'm not interested in going back and forth, but I just have a written statement that I'd like to give to anybody who wants one. I have 15 copies.
Sure.
And just read it.
Yep.
I mean, that it's my thought.
Yep. Perfectly okay. Yep.
And
I think you made a statement about, we're talking just about veterans. I think when they were here last week, they talked about homeless people, not necessarily just veterans.
right, but a lot of the call-in and write-ins weren't getting the full message. Well, those comments were heart-wrenching for veterans.
Mm-hmm.
they're not thinking about the whole big picture.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of information has to be put out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So anyways,
I would just point out that the commander said that one wing would be strictly for veterans and the other for any homeless.
yeah, but you're gonna have to separate those anyway. You won't be able to put sex offenders, there's no background checks, with women and children, men. No, it's not gonna fly. Like I said, you're gonna have to do more than just a dream, a wish. So,
Yeah, I'd like that. Thank you.
and, you know, this isn't really for discussion here. This is just my thoughts, rather than waste your time. Okay. Rather than just wasting your time going back and forth. Because obviously, I'm not gonna convince you, and you're not gonna convince me. So I just given
You gave me one,
a point of view.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's like being a Democrat or Republican. If you're gonna vote Republican, you're gonna vote Republican. You're gonna vote Democrat, you're gonna vote Democrat.
Yes, Ed?
Could I request that if this is short, that it just be read? I mean...
That it be read for
that
your
it be
purpose?
read- Well, for all of our purposes. This goes out to 3 different cable channels. It goes on the internet. People will be able to listen to it. And nobody else is going to be able to read this if he
What's the
doesn't
board
read it.
feeling? Want it to be read?
And it's rather short.
You want it to be
Did
read?
you,
I think you can.
did you send this to a newspaper?
Pardon?
Have you sent this to the newspaper?
Yes.
Then it can be read on the newspaper, in the newspaper.
If they're going to print it.
If
But
they're
who
going,
knows if it's gonna be printed?
what
If they're
newspapers
going-
did you send
If
it
they're
to?
going to print it.
I'm sorry?
What newspapers did you send it to?
The Daily Sun.
It will be printed. It's not too long.
Okay,
Point of order.
yes, go ahead.
Are you saying that he cannot read this if he wishes to, or
Say that again?
are you saying that he cannot read this, or is it only up to him? Because I would like to hear this read.
What's the privilege of the
I
board?
think if he wants to read it,
Oh,
and then he
I'll-
handed to
I'll read it.
us, I think he can read it.
I mean, it's just a point of view.
I mean,
Another-
it's his time, it's public input.
Go ahead.
Okay. Can you handle the truth? The attempt to refurbish the old nursing home wings for human occupancy would be a waste of effort, time, and millions of dollars. Think of it as throwing your money into a relentless wishing well that gives nothing in return. There are only 3 reasonable choices for the spent wings. Tear the wings down as planned. Keep some of the wings for county non-heated storage space. 3, have county storage plus operate a public rental space, non-heated, managed through the Carroll County Farm Director. The leaking roofs on the wings need to be replaced. Asbestos and dated insulation material, floor tiles, and any mold needs to be removed and disposed of. The plan to date is for the county taxpayers to become the landlord. All current federal, state, and local requirements, safety, health, building, plumbing, handicap, and antiquated electrical system will need upgrades. Air conditioning, energy-efficient windows, and many electrical outlets added. I believe regulations will require complete separation of different groups of proposed clientele, therefore creating separate living spaces, kitchen and dining room, 4 more kitchens and dining room areas. The heat and hot water will be provided 100% by propane gas boilers. Then there's the big bucks, operating expenses, managers, clerical workers, health care providers, 24/7 security, linen service custodians, on and on. The renters hope they can find $1.3 million to upgrade the building. They also know that the roof currently leaks. Roof patched repeatedly over the years. Yet they say for now the roof could just be patched as needed. This is not a wise choice which brings concern to the whole idea. If this multi-million-dollar project is allowed to go forward, my crystal ball indicates within 3 years, the commissioners will put forth a proposal that the Carroll County taxpayers take over the full operating cost of this project. Please think of this before you leap. In direct response to the homeless situation, have a board keep seeking answers while continuing with the current protocol of the voucher system for room and meals. Maybe expand the idea to a trust fund supported by private and public funds. The homeless get needed services. It adds money to the local economy and gives the state room and meals income tax. Win, win, win for everybody. Dana Streeter, Osprey, Maine.
Well, Mr. Streeter, as long as you've read it, and I hadn't read it prior to this, quickly I would just say, number one, heat and hot water will be provided 100% by propane and gas boilers. That's not true.
I think it is.
We have a pellet boiler system.
It's not set up to go to
It
the
is
wing.
set up to go.
It is.
It is
It's set up to heat the old nursing home building.
Okay, I was
It's
told,
tied into the old furnaces.
I was told it wasn't, that all that
No.
goes directly.
Okay.
No.
No.
Thank you for clarity.
And I don't know why 4 more cooking areas and dining areas would be necessary when they're asking for the use of the core building for that.
If you find you have to separate groups of people.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, me either, but
It's food for thought. I'm
Yeah.
glad you did it, and I welcome anybody else's input into this facility, whether it's used for homeless, veterans, cooperative extension, or whatever other use of it.
I don't think they're going to allow drug addicts, alcoholics, and then women and children
Mhm.
to be able to mingle.
Yeah. They did mention that they would have 2 separate areas for families. I don't know how that's working, and like I say, from my standpoint as a commissioner, I don't want to have anything to do with it. It'd be done privately. It will be somehow put together. I'm sure attorneys will get involved in it if anything goes anyway.
The bottom line
So
is-
that there's no taxpayers' dollars going into it, no liability. Whatever can be done, it's all private. Nothing with county government involved in it, except for what we have in it, which is the pellet furnaces, maintenance, and laundry.
And liability.
For those 3, but that's it.
Liability because you're the landlord,
Right.
and you have deep pockets.
But we would sign that over so that there wouldn't be any liability. That's my standpoint. I don't know if it can be done or not, but anyway, go ahead.
Just the cost of doing what you said to make sure the county is not in a form of liability.
It's costly.
It's going to be very costly.
Yeah. Any other public input? Yes, Mr. Babson?
No other questions and comments.
Oh, I'm sorry, you had others. Go ahead.
The first one, when Mike was in here, he was talking about buying the cars. My question I would have liked to ask him is the state bid to a dealer or to a manufacturer? In other words, are they
I
going
know
to
when they
a
were-
local Chevy dealer, or are they going to Chevrolet, and Chevrolet is just shipping it through?
You're a
whichever dealer?
representative, Mr. Babson. The state does that. You should be able to find that question out.
I should, but you're running the meeting and say I can't ask him a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you can ask somebody down in the state how that bid goes out by the
I'll
state.
ask him myself.
Okay.
The next question, the sheriff radios. Did we determine what line item that came out of in the budget, and whether or not it had been underestimated in this year's budget, or had it not been estimated at all?
I can't answer that question. I don't have that figure in front of me.
Could
I'd
you
have to
find
look
that
at the
out next
budget.
week when they're here?
Yep.
And I think this is an important one because I can see us chasing our tail again. someone said, we bring it before the delegation, and somebody else said, well, what will the delegation want to know? And here we go in the circle. How do we find out, you know, the delegation's going to have a lot of questions about what he was talking, and when it comes to setting up for another, if these 3 towns decide to come here. There's going to be a dozen questions, and I think that you ought to get together with Betsy, or somebody ought to, before the meeting, and come up with some potential questions that the delegation might ask. Otherwise, it's going to be, we'll come back in the next quarter when we meet again, and we'll give you the answer.
My answer would be we offer it to them to take it on. They apparently decided at some point in time, nobody seems to know when the dispatch centers in each of those 3 towns started, right, and when ours started, and whether there was any communication done at that point in time. Nobody seems to know.
Were they offered the what I'm, you know,
yep,
you're asking me.
I understand.
Were we offered the option to come in, or weren't?
Right.
We are.
Right. And I understand.
But I think it's, we're right here in today's timeline, and questions are going to be asked about. When they were talking about moving across the hall, it was something like $38,000 for the equipment. Now you're going to have to staff. The irony of the whole thing is that if you give them a discount, a rebate, all the towns are going to have to pay more money.
That's right.
If you take them on, all the towns are going to have to pay more money because you've got to set up to handle them.
Yep.
And
yep. Keep in mind now that Moultonborough pays about 25% of our taxes.
Absolutely.
County tax.
Between Wolfboro, Conway, and Moultonborough, you're talking almost 50% of the budget.
Yeah, yeah.
And this next one is just a point. I don't think it's in good taste for the board to be discussing when they're going to hire somebody what the person's references were. What happens if you'd gotten a bad reference from this lady? You're going to say all of a sudden when I check the references, but they're no good, or you're putting yourself in a tight spot.
Okay.
And I guess that's the last one. Thank you.
Well, I'd just like to go back to that a second. Since I did check the references, and I think all references should be checked before you make a determination to hire someone, and nobody else seems to have checked the references, I just thought it would be beneficial to my fellow commissioners that they know that I did check them and they were fine. I mean, after all, if we're going to hire somebody, we ought to know everything about it before we hire that person.
I don't argue with that at all, Tony.
You just don't think it should be done in public? Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't mind if that was done in non-public between the 3 of you. I check the references, and if not. The other thing is, what happens when, can't think of a good example, but somebody's friend is here where she works and hears that she's going to be hired, and then tells the boss before she has a chance to tell the boss she's going to be hired.
Oh, that's not a problem.
Huh?
If the person is given the boss as a reference, that doesn't, you know.
Well, that's a different story,
yeah.
But we don't know that
It does.
here in the public.
Oh, I see. But in this case, it did.
Mm-hmm. I would think you'd offer the individual the job, come upstairs and say, okay, we've decided to. I'm assuming you haven't offered her the job.
I got accused of that before, jumping ahead before the board voted on it, and so that's why I decided.
We could vote on it downstairs in non-public session. We want to hire this lady, but then offer her the job, and then come upstairs and say we offer.
You got to publicize it ahead of time.
That's right.
And I didn't know that Commissioner Kenny was going to be here today. I was going to hold it off until next week.
Okay.
Because I have stated to the other 2 commissioners that whenever we're dealing with any money figures, that all 3 of us be involved in it, not just 1 or 2. And so that's why I had put it off. But since Commissioner Kenny was here, I think it's prudent that we hurry up and hire the person that the committee had recommended, that we had also interviewed with her, and get her on the job as soon as possible.
And I believe that the board discussed that somebody has to check in the references.
Yeah.
Oh, I do too. No question.
Okay.
Mr. Babs, I'm sorry. You mentioned something about, prior to this question about references, something about taxes. I wanted to make a note of it, and I got to taxes, but I didn't get to anything else. What was your the question before?
Dispatch.
On the dispatch center?
Yep. Oh, is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Either you're getting old, Dottie, or I'm getting old. My question was, in the irony, if we give them a discount, the other towns in the county's tax is going to go up because you still have to pay for the dispatch center. If you take them on, you're going to have to add new equipment, new personnel, and then everybody's taxes are going to go up also. So,
Yep.
it's a catch
Or the other alternative is to do nothing, leave it just the way it is.
Right.
And by the way, it's my understanding that taxes are based on an equalized value.
Yes.
And therefore, they may be paying in dollars, those three towns may be paying in dollars more than anybody else does, but they're not paying any more than anybody else does on an equalized basis. It's just that their properties are more valuable. So
well, how does this relate to the discussion? If you give them a rebate,
all
the other towns are going to go up.
I agree with you. I don't want to do that either.
If you take them on, they're going to go up. I don't understand what that has to do with the discussion.
It has nothing to do with this thing. It's just that a comment was made before that they pay 25% of the taxes.
I said that.
And I just want people to understand that the taxes are based on an equalized value, and it has to do with the property valuation.
Yep. And that's not set by us. Mr. Brown, you had your question. You had your hand up.
Well, I'm hearing references, and it's also been stated there's a job description.
For
example, the HR position, or any position for that matter in the county.
Yep.
But a job description is something clearly different than qualifications. I think there ought to be a qualifications guideline set up for these positions.
There are qualifications in each job description.
There are?
Yes.
Yep. And then just one other point to about the shelter.
Yep.
It was specifically stated last week from the gentleman there that the VA is only going to pay or put money into that portion of the building that the veterans are going to be staying in. They're not going to pay for all of the renovations.
That's correct. That's correct.
Wherever this other money is going to be coming from.
I think they were looking at, if I'm correct, they were looking at all of the towns in the county that are presently paying for shelter for these people. That money would come from the towns to do that for those people that are non-veterans. That's what they were looking at, whether that's ever possible or not.
Well, the concept being inasmuch as, according to New Hampshire law, towns are responsible for the welfare of the citizens in their town. And let's not even discuss. Having sat as a selectman, I won't even discuss the concept of citizens in your town, but that's a different issue. But nonetheless, they are responsible. So that is why he suggested that he would be going to towns to ask them to participate in this.
It's very complicated. A lot of questions need to be asked, a lot of answers found. Whether it ever comes to completion or not may not happen this year.
If I may, just one question. Not to be disrespectful, but it was pointed out in the paper, Mrs. Solomon, that you were kind of like the champion for this idea. Now, if there are hundreds of people in Carroll County that are homeless and need shelters, why just 2 wings? What's your plan for the other 2 wings?
As far as I am concerned, as far as I know, we have always planned to take down the other 2 wings.
Yeah.
That's number 1. Number 2, I don't know that anybody ever said there were hundreds of people.
600 to 800 people in Carroll County.
How many?
Who said that?
How many?
I'd have to get the data.
I would love to see that, because I don't know where that number ever came from.
There was some mention of statewide figures, but I'm not sure about
5,000
5,000.
statewide were visited a shelter in 2011. And I think it was 500 to 800 in this area could be served.
Well,
but that's not my
Yeah, I never heard that number. I don't know.
Why 58, you know?
Because that's how much they figure they can provide beds for.
That there's a need.
take the 2 wings, yeah. They're actually,
So what happened to the county
there's
extension?
24, there's 40, there's 48 rooms to 2 wings. But they'd have to reconfigure,
Yeah, they have to do
redo,
Totally.
take down petition. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that needs to be done. You want to follow up, Mr. Brown? Okay. Anybody else for public input? If not, thank you very much for your...
I have a comment.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that the board only need to release the non-public minutes, the ones that are signed and approved. I don't think you can just come with a set of non-public minutes or wherever you get it and release that. All the non-public minutes that needs to be released needs to be signed and approved.
Yes, and we need to sign and approve a number of minutes that I read you last week.
Okay, but I'm talking about what the board can release. Only the signed and approved non-public minutes.
Exactly.
Okay, because we have...
But we have to look
It's
at
not
those that have
signed,
never
that's
been
all.
signed and approved.
What she's saying is that September 21st was never approved.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
So we can't release anything if it wasn't
Absolutely.
approved.
But we do
Yeah,
need to
it's
approve
not-
them.
We do need approval, okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Point taken. All right.
So
You
only
got
the
the-
signed and approved non-public minutes we can release.
Okay.
We can look to release, we don't
No,
necessarily.
we don't have to.
Right.
But I already read like most of the non-public minutes in 2011, and all the non-public minutes are sealed.
Could you?
That is not the way.
Wait a minute.
it's
Could
in
you
the book.
double check that list that was given to
Yeah,
you last
yeah.
week?
Yeah,
To make
I
sure
checked it.
that they were either approved
And I'd like
or
to see
not
them.
approved? And bring that next week?
You both had all the non-public minutes from last year because you also put out what we need to take out, what needs to be
Those
there
are
for
right.
legal counsel.
The
So
only
you both
one-
have them.
The only
And I
ones,
make copies for you, Commissioner
That's right.
Solomon, you have all the copies.
and I gave you back those, and I would just
Yeah,
like
they
to
were
see them.
And you have brought even the original home.
They were given
Yeah,
back to you.
so you see through all of it. So why didn't you come like a couple months ago and said, this is not approved, this is whatever? I mean, you had them all.
Well,
And now suddenly,
you're
6
the-
sets are not good.
I guess what we're doing is we're just checking
We're
on
just trying-
those minutes
Since
that
it
we
came
have
up, we're
questions
trying
about.
to, I'm trying to get this all done.
I can
Okay.
look if we miss something that needs to be approved.
Please.
Then we need to check on it and then
Please.
approve that.
I appreciate
But
it.
we cannot come here and say we need to release this, because this is not signed and this is not approved.
That's not the, that's not what we're asking, at least not what
Yeah,
I'm
but that
asking.
is what I see what's going on here. That is what he was reading. So we don't even know if this is corrected, if this is approved or is signed. This is just.
That's why I would like to see what you have in your locked
That
case.
should all be on a tape. And if we review the tape, it should correspond to those minutes right
Well,
there.
yeah.
Not the ones that were changed in all that I had said, which was pertinent to that meeting, was taken out.
And like we already discussed, when I asked for certain information, when I was asking, we said, oh, the tape was destroyed. So from everything, the tape is destroyed, and suddenly we have a tape of this?
Let me,
Because
I'm
that.
going to ask you if you got the tapes for all those minutes.
No, because the previous minute taker said she doesn't keep it.
Okay.
She destroyed it. That wasn't said, and I have it. I have the documentation, because I was asking for the tape from April 20. You know, I was asking for the tape. I never get that. I never have the tape from April 20.
Okay.
And that's what has been said, and I think it was in your own words said that we don't keep it.
Since we're talking
That is what
about
you said.
tapes, the tape of the Perry administrative hearing, which went non-public, what now is the status of those tapes? We've been corresponding back and forth with the attorney who had the tape recorder that belonged to Jason Johnson or the House of Correction, he wanted it back because he uses that. Where is that tape, and what's the status of it right now?
Well, last week when I asked, was there a tape recorder, both commissioners replied no, there was no tape recorder. Later, after the meeting, I found out there was a tape recorder.
Sure there was.
And,
you never said that.
But you didn't say that.
We didn't say there was.
When I asked that at a meeting last week, was there tape, you said no.
No, that's not so.
Yeah, you said no.
It was.
There was no tape recording.
Well,
that is what you said.
let's-
But now I find out there is a tape recording, and this by the attorney has it, and back and forward correspondence. And the last thing what I got was he was going to send a copy for each commissioner, and I didn't get it yet.
A CD. I haven't got it yet either.
That is the only thing.
He
what
wanted
I got.
mailing addresses to send it.
Yes.
But, you know,
And
the bottom line is, Commissioner Kenny, is that if you were at that meeting, you would have known that there was a tape recorder recording those minutes.
yeah, but I was not at that meeting. That's
I
why
know you
I asked
weren't.
you last week, and
I
you
know you
said
weren't.
no, there was no tape recording. And now
No,
suddenly
that-
after the meeting, there was a
That
tape
can't,
recording.
I cannot believe that.
I never
That is
said.
what you said.
I never said that.
You have to
I
go
don't
back
think we're
there
getting
and
any
watch
place.
that. But anyway, it is coming, it is on the way, I hear. So that is the last thing.
So
what
it's a
I can do.
CD
We're
that's
getting
coming
a
to
copy.
each of us.
Yes.
We're getting a copy, and I think if we get a copy, then Jason Johnson get back his recording.
Absolutely.
Okay. Mr. Babson.
Couple of questions on that matter. Does that mean nobody took minutes?
No.
It was on tape.
So I guess the answer to that question is nobody took minutes.
That's right.
Clerk-
We're going to
clerk
use
was not
that
there.
tape for minutes.
We're going-
That's what we're going to transcribe.
The clerk was not
I
there.
We do
was
the
under
same thing here.
impression that the only acceptable minutes of a meeting were the written minutes, not tapes. And if you're going to the tape and then
They will be written up from the tape, from the.
To be transcribed from the tape.
They'll be transcribed.
By who?
Well, the attorney took the tape. We didn't keep the tape. He took the tape recorder. He was going to get it transcribed. He was going to find out what it would cost. Commissioner Kenny, I believe, sent an email to him saying that she should get the tape and she would transcribe it. I don't know what happened. Somebody didn't feel that that's the way to do it. So he decided that he would make a CD and give it to each of the commissioners
This.
from that tape.
Well, I
It's a
called
tape
him.
recorder that can be plugged into a computer. That's how Jason Johnson uses it. You can plug it into the computer, and whatever is produced from that, I have not a clue.
you
but
don't understand the magic.
I don't understand the magic, right. But
Well-
anyway, he wants it back, and so it's in a CD form to each of the three commissioners.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
About this whole situation with the non-public minutes, and I'm not sure that I know what I'm talking about in this, but isn't there in the law some time limit?
Yes, there
You
is.
you have to seal the minutes immediately.
Yep.
So isn't there a time limit between the time you seal them or the meeting is held and the minutes have to be approved?
That's right.
And it's 3 or 5 or 7, 442 hours?
No,
72 hours.
72 hours.
72 hours. And at the end of 72 hours, if it isn't done,
It's
don't they
public.
automatically become public?
Yeah.
Yep.
If it is not sealed, but there is no time limit for approval.
Yes, there is. I believe.
I don't think
As I
there
said
is.
to start with,
There is,
I
if
don't,
you need to
I'm
seal
not sure I
it.
know what I'm talking about, Commissioner Kenny, but I thought there was a time limit to get, you seal them and then you have X amount of time to get those minutes done. And
Well, you seal the minutes. If you don't seal it, it's going to be released to the public in 72 hours.
Yeah. What
But
we-
it doesn't mean there is a time that you have to precisely approve it next week.
Okay.
If that was the case,
You guys all
I
should
mean,
have this.
we had last year, the 2011 minutes, before I was getting the non-public minutes, I had to wait for months. So if that was the case, that we had to prove it immediately, that wouldn't work.
Okay.
But I think the sealing
In
is
normal-
the issue. It needs to be sealed immediately.
In normal non-public minutes, we approve of them and seal them at the end of the non-public meeting. And we can do it either way. We can do it then, or we can do it in public.
Dave, how can you do that if you haven't had the minutes written?
Yeah, you only seal them.
Okay.
You
All right.
seal them, and
All
when
right.
they are in front of you and you
I
read
stand
them,
corrected.
You got that?
We
you
can
read
seal
them,
them.
and we need to make correction or take legal consultation out, then
Yeah.
You have to come out
approve
of
them.
You
non-public.
guys should have this in front of you if you can't remember the rules.
You have to come out of non-public,
Non-public.
go back into public, seal the non-public minutes in public session.
I will give you next week a fact sheet. I think it's just the opposite what you're saying. It doesn't have to be done in public. It can be done in non-public. Either way is permissible. I will bring that in. It
But
came,
to that point,
yeah.
then how do the people ever know that they were sealed if they're done in non-public?
That's true.
That's the purpose of doing it in public, so that the public, there's a record to the public
Mhm.
that the non-public was in fact sealed.
Yeah.
If they're sealed in non-public, there's no record of it.
I'll bring
But you
that in
see,
next
I
week.
think I think it can be done either way. But if we seal it in non-public, when we come back at the public session, when we approve it, then we say it was sealed. It was sealed and approved.
We've gotten a couple of legal opinions that you're supposed to come out of non-public, go back into public, and seal the non-public in the public session. So
Yes, I think that's one way too.
that's according to a number of attorneys, so.
Yeah.
The RSA is right
Yeah,
there.
absolutely right.
In writing.
Here's what the RSA says. Minutes of meetings in non-public session shall be kept and recorded, and the record of all actions shall be promptly made available for public inspection, except as provided in this section. Minutes and decisions reached in non-public session shall be publicly disclosed within 74 hours of the meeting, unless by recorded vote of two-thirds of the members present, it is determined that the divulgence of information likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the public body itself, or render the proposed action ineffective, or pertain to terrorism, more specifically to matters relating to the preparation for and the carrying out of all emergency functions developed by local or state safety officials that are directly intended to thwart a deliberate act that is intended to result in widespread or severe damage to property or widespread injury or loss of life. This shall include training to carry out such functions. In the event of such circumstances, information may be withheld until, in the opinion of the majority of the members, the aforesaid circumstances no longer apply. Reading that, Mr. Chairman, I wonder if we are doing something illegal when we go into non-public session about security at the jail. These, we don't have terrorists in there that are planning a widespread.
Security is one of the exceptions in there.
I just read it, I didn't see it.
Security, contracts, personnel, disciplinary action, and so forth is
It is
included.
determined that the divulgence of it likely would affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of a public body itself, that's one, or render the proposed action ineffective, that's two, or to pertain to terrorism, more specifically to matters relating to the preparation for and carrying out all emergency functions.
I'm sure security is in there somewhere.
But jail security, none of the
Somewhere in there,
information
I
carries.
remember it's something about liability or welfare or security, and maybe that's security. Reasons, I think those are reasons for going into non-public session, but that seems to be contradictory in the second paragraph that it isn't included there.
Yeah.
That's for divulgence.
I mean,
What, you read about divulging it, and the other one is about going into that.
The purpose for going
Purpose
into
going into.
non-public?
are the ones that we just,
Yeah. Okay. Any further things that we need to bring up today? Okay. Then I'll move that we adjourn our meeting today.
Second.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm so voted. Sorry.